Hi everybody, what's up? My name is Juan, I am just one reader, and this is another recent reads reading wrap-up. Today I will be discussing books numbers 34 through 37 that I have read in 2017. Enjoy. So starting with book number 34, that was Idaho by Emily Ruskovich. This is a book that I have already talked a lot about, and if you want to know more about it, you can go and check out my separate review that I have made for this. Basically, in Idaho, we follow this family and the repercussions of a certain act of violence that happens very early on in the book and how that affects the members of this family as we follow them through time. I thought this was a remarkable debut novel from Emily Ruskovich. I thought her writing style was really on point. I thought it was the perfect amount of lyrical prose, but at the same time keeping it real. She manages to do something that is really great, which is incorporating the themes and the ideas that she is exploring in the novel and sort of making them part of the writing and of the reading experience itself. So this is a book that makes you feel disorganized, confused, disoriented. You sometimes feel like you don't really grasp the situation, and that's the majority of what the characters experience. We follow these characters through time as they grow up, they develop, they evolve, they try to survive this trauma from their past, and they also deteriorate. I thought it was also a really profound exploration of what is humanity, what can make us inhuman, what can turn our minds against ourselves, and the fragility of our existence, the fragility of our body. It certainly is a very bleak, dark, depressing kind of book, which is something that I love. I love books that really take death seriously, and I think this really made it. So this one just ticked all the right boxes for me. I thought it was great. I gave it 4 stars, and I really recommend it, but it is very bleak. Then after that, book number 35 was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. I have also made a separate review for this one. It's the last chapter of my series, Rereading Harry Potter as an Adult. Basically, I enjoyed this quite a bit. I enjoyed it a lot more than Half-Blood Prince for sure. That book just didn't really do it for me this time around. But this one, I was able to enjoy it quite a lot. It was fast-paced when it needed to be. It was very slow-paced when it needed to be. I felt the pacing was really good. I really enjoyed the characters that we started to integrate as characters, not just as this kind of ideal figure such as Dumbledore. So I enjoyed it. I still have some issues regarding the ending, the conclusion to the series or lack thereof, but I gave it a solid 4 stars. I thought it was enjoyable. The next book I read was Vile Bodies by Evelyn Waugh. This follows a cast of characters that could potentially be very unlikable, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was hysterically funny. It was awesome, and I loved it because not only was it funny, it was also really critical and made you think. So basically, we follow this generation of the bright young things of the 1920s in London. This was written in 1930, by the way. And we follow this generation, this cast of characters who are all very young. They are socialites. They are always gossiping, and they're talking about who's gonna marry whom and the fortunes, and it's kind of a very shallow lifestyle, I guess. They are very trendy, very cool, very innocent, and they have this kind of naivete to them at the same time. There are some characters that feel absolutely like caricatures, but that's kind of the point. It's because this book is a satire. Now, the main plot line that we follow in the story is the story of this young man. I think his name is Adam. I'm not sure. Yeah, Adam, and we follow his ridiculous quest as he tries to find some money and come into some money so that he can marry this girl, Nina. And it's kind of a ridiculous adventure, honestly. If you enjoy Downton Abbey, this has a lot of that kind of feel. Basically, when I was reading this book, I just wanted to grab a cup of tea and drink it with my finger like this and call everybody Margaret. I just felt like the most British person. I was like reading this book with one hand and with a cup of tea in the other, and I was like, oh, Margaret, dear. It's funny like that because it doesn't take itself seriously. I think Evelyn Waugh did a magnificent job of portraying these characters in this kind of unrealistic way. It's kind of over the top. But at the same time, there's a lot of humanity in what they're doing, and the scenes that he chooses to show us are, I think, very well handpicked, very well selected, because they tell us a lot about the characters and a lot about this world. And I think this book is also really important to read today, because this book was written in the 1930s, and it focuses on this generation who are living the life. They're just living the dream. They're always in a constant lifestyle of excess. They overeat, they overdrink, they overspend money that sometimes they don't even have. They're always going from party to party. I don't think I had ever in my life read a book with as many parties as this book has. Basically, it's just a collection of different parties and people talking and gossiping. It sounds really boring, but it's not. It's awesome. And, you know, these people are sort of living the dream. They have the perfect life, which is kind of a very empty, narcissistic, hedonistic life that some people actually live today. And something that I thought was really interesting is that this book takes place after the First War ended and before the Second War exploded. So I'm not going to spoil the ending of this book, but it just really makes you think. It's kind of like a big punch in your face after having read all this ridiculous story. The ending comes and it just punches you in the face, and you just realize, oh, this is the real life, this is the real world. And yeah, I'm not gonna say exactly why, because I think I could spoil something of the ending and I don't want to do that, but I just feel like this book, particularly today, is really current and really interesting. So I really recommend it. I gave this 4 stars. I also think this book is perfect for a readathon, or if you just want to read something very, very fast-paced, something that is going to take you one day to read. I read this in like under 24 hours. So, or if you want to get out of a reading slump, I would recommend this. And the last book that I will be mentioning today is Mary Poppins by P.L. Travers. This is a children's classic that I had never read before. And honestly, I'm very sad because I feel like I missed the train. I didn't really care for this book. I didn't like it very much. I gave it 2 stars, not because of the book itself and its quality. I just have to admit that I am not a good audience for this book anymore. I think I just outgrew this book. I found the book to be very dull and very episodical. Instead of feeling like a children's novel, it felt like separate adventures that Mary Poppins and the children were living. And that was fine, but the thing is, there were some adventures that were really funny and really cool and clever, and there were some other adventures or stories in here that were absolutely dull and just pointless. Like the story with the woman who feeds the birds, you know, the one with the song, Feed the Birds. That was the most incredibly, appallingly boring thing I have read in 2017. For sure. I just hated it. So this was kind of a mixed bag for me. The one thing that I did really like was the character of Mary Poppins herself, because she is a bitch. She is kind of a narcissistic, somewhat mean-spirited bitch. and I loved her. She was such a cool character. Basically, she doesn't really pay that much attention to the kids. She's always so self-centered and so cool, and so mysterious. I really liked her, but that was kind of it for me. So this book, I would recommend it if you are a child, or if you have a child, or if you want to read this to a child, a very small child. But for adults, well, at least for me, it didn't click. I gave it 2 stars. So that's it for today. I am looking forward to your comments down below so that we can have a conversation or discussion about this books. Thanks for watching.